way. Class number 1, going to be tag 31, Weston Meneses out of Melrose, Montana. Tag number 245, Graham Stinson out of Gillette, Wyoming. Quentin Perkins, tag number 203 from Deer Lodge. Justine Wilkinson, tag number 208, she's out of Henry, Nebraska. Tag number 217, Timber Billman out of Rigby, Idaho. From Shepherd, Montana, Haley Dennison with tag number 251, and then Tanner Vanek out of Lewistown, Montana with tag number Triple Deuce 222. Class number 1 going to be first out. Class 2, Class 3, Class 4. Going to bear it in mind. We're going to be coming your way very shortly. Going to go from our market steers to the junior fed beef showmanship. Looks like we've got 8 classes this morning. Make that 5 classes, excuse me, in the junior fed market steer show. And then another 4 classes in the junior fed showmanship. We're just a couple of minutes in front of 2 o'clock. I'm going to read that first class off to you one more time. Out of Melrose, Montana, it's going to be tag 231 with Weston Meneses. Tag number 245 from Gillette, Wyoming, Graham Stinson. Out of Deer Lodge, Montana, tag number 203, Quentin Perkins. Justine Wilkinson from Henry, Nebraska, bringing us tag number 208. Timber Billman, tag number 217 from Rigby, Idaho. Haley Dennison with tag number 251. She's out of Shepherd, Montana. And then Tanner Vanek with tag number 222, of course, out of Lewistown, Montana. That's going to be our first class into the show ring. Class number 2, please be ready. You are tag 246, Davey Frost. Tag 240, Reichley Day. Tag number 252, Bailey Kraft. Tag 209, Stephanie Pruitt. Tag number 229, Kyle Taylor. Jerry Jex Wilson in tag 235, and then Cade Vanek with tag 221. That's going to be class number 2. 1 and 2, and there are 5 of them. And with that, I would turn it over to the man or woman at the gate to welcome in class number 1. Amanda Schnoor is going to be our judge as we get underway. Amanda out of the famed Chowchilla, California country. She's judged numerous stock shows from state fairs, the North American, American Royal, Western, National Western Stock Show, and tons of jackpots in between. Want to give a shout out to AgWest Credit Services. Thanks to AgWest Credit Services and all the folks with AgWest Credit for their support of NILE and the Junior Fed Youth. Sponsors for the prize. They are sponsors for the prizes for our show today. Town and Country Supply. At Town and Country Supply, it's our job to help you find the right feed for your animals. We offer feed with quality, generated, guaranteed ingredients made to develop your cows, calves, heifers, steers, and bulls. Supplements are important to your cattle, and so is finding the right one for your operation. Whether you need QLF liquid feeds, Smart Lick tubs, or pelleted complete feeds, our team of experts can advise you on the program that is right for your livestock. Stop in and see us here at the Nile, and come and visit us after the show at the store in Bridger, Hardin, and Laurel, or contact one of the salesmen in your area. Again, thank you to Town and Country Supply and Opportunity Bank. More than 100 years strong in 31 locations nationwide. They are a member FDIC.
Testing 1, 2. Good afternoon. It's a privilege to be back this afternoon to work through these steers and the junior exhibitors. It's always fun when you get asked to judge steer shows because there's always some gives and takes and differences, and you always look along ringside and you watch people get excited because I know the work and time and effort that goes into this, and still getting them big-haired when our weather hasn't been as cooperative. So I know you guys have worked very hard, and so I do appreciate you guys showing cattle because it is a time-consuming project. But the steer that's going to start does so pretty easy in my mind. As this young lady wraps around, you can see this calf just at the ground in terms of mobility, and then you move your way up and look at his power and his shape. You get behind him, he's got that good turn to his rib cage. He's wide pinned and still maintains a look to him. I think that one still balances up exceptionally well when you get off the side of him. That's a good calf here to start this particular class. Calf that comes in second at the ground, he's big-footed. He's big boned, and I like that about him. You get behind him, you like the shape that he has. To me, maybe not as youthful through that head and neck as that class winner is. Maybe he's got a little tighter in that rear flank, and is not as good and secure at the ground at his pastern set as you'd like. I'd like to change that about him. The brockle-headed one is one that's good in terms of when he's standing there, the shape that he brings. His back shape and his pin width is one I really like. I guess when we get him in motion is when it brings up some red flags. You can see his spine kind of rolls up, that tail head knocks up. Not as comfortable as when that hoof hits the ground. I'd like him to go just a notch better. A steer from a profile is one that comes next. I really like this one on the outside looking in. Really neat necked. He's got the extra length aside. He's deep-sided in terms of that rib cage. It's when you get behind him, he closes up at the base of his skeleton. He's not as comfortable from hock to pastern. I got to see him go just a notch better. Good feeding one that comes next. I think one, you appreciate his body, you appreciate his depth, but when we get him in motion, maybe not as comfortable in terms of his mobility. He's got more true shape and more genuine width than the calf that comes next. Highly presented calf that comes next that gives you an awfully cool look from a profile. So fresh and youthful headed and good in his throat latch down to the base of his chest. It's just when we get that rascal in motion, young man, I know you worked hard, but he is too straight in that hock and pastern. I got to see a little more bend and flex. Standing there, that's a show steer. Just getting him moving, we got to get him more comfortable. Nice red steer that rounds out the class. Instead of being straighter hocked, he's straighter through that front end. That shoulder needs to rock back. Change that knee about him. Good bodied. Got the depth, handles extremely well. Just got to change that rascal's running gear. Nice set of steers. Let's give all those exhibitors a round of applause.
Congratulations to the top two in the class there. Tag number 251 shown by Haley Dennison out of Shepherd, Montana. And your class winner, tag number 217 from the Pride of Rigby, Idaho, Timber Billman. We're going to move on to class number 2. That's going to be tags 246 shown by Davey Frost of Cowley, Wyoming. Tag number 240 shown by Riley Day of Evanston, Wyoming. Tag number 252 shown by Bailey Kraft of Powell, Wyoming. Tag number 209 shown by Stephanie Pruitt of Park Haven, Montana. Park City, Montana, excuse me. Tag number 229, Kyle Taylor out of Hayden, Idaho. Tag number 235, Jerry Jex Wilson from Mountain View, Wyoming. And then out of Lewistown, Montana, tag number 221. That one is going to be showed by Cade Vanek. Class number 3, you are on deck. Class number 3, Nate Peterson will tag 201. Kinley Barntold will tag 219. Caleb Lindholm with 202. Kinley Barntold will tag 218. Wiley Filio, tag number 213. Baylor Williams will tag 239. And then Paisley Schwartz with tag number 241. To the staging area, please. You are on deck. And we do want to again say a big thank you to Needle and the Haystack Scholarship. This is a random drawing to open and Grand Reserve Senior Showman of the Junior Fed Lamb, Goat, Swine, and Steer shows. Just before the Junior Fed sale on Monday, October 15, a winner will randomly be drawn out of the 8 champion senior showmen. This will be a $500 scholarship to be sent to the college or university of the recipient's choice. And also, Select Sires, offering an expanded sire lineup, including more elite bulls from respected programs. Select Sires calving ease, carcass, and cows. Stop by and see Jane Ansel at their booth in the trade show or visit your local select sire representative. Western Ranch Supply, serving the big country with a quality and service you can trust. Stop into their West End store located just off the Shiloh exit. A complete farm and ranch store, from vet supplies to show supplies or fencing to livestock equipment, saddles and tack, and a huge clothing department. Thank you to Rob Erickson, Keith Robinson, and Shane Vandervoort. They've got stores right here in Billings or in Great Falls.
Kind of a fun class to sort through, and some decisions that have to be made all the way down. The calf we're going to start with is standing there. He is one that's bold, he's stout. I love the way he transitions behind that blade into a big old back shape into him. He's one that's got that good turn to his rib cage, and you get behind him, he don't disappoint. I think he's the most genuine in terms of his with the skeleton all the way through. Is he as mobile through that hawking pasturing as some cattle behind him? He's not, but he's the one that's the boldest, the stoutest, the squarest. He's one that's standing there you gravitate to pretty fast. One of the sounder moving steers in this particular class comes second. You get this rascal going, you got to appreciate the stride he makes. His angles are all correct, his joints are all right. He gets himself beat because when you start to study him through that front 1/3, gets a little plainer through that head, a little tighter through that throat latch, and that chest kind of drops. I got to freshen him all the way up through that front 1/3. And some of you on the long ring side might say, oh, Amanda, he's there. He's got the body, handles good, got the look and the hip and hind leg. But we get that show halter on him. I still got to have him a little zipper fronted and change that his chest chest floor, but man, that is a soft-footed, good-middled one that handles extremely well. The calf that comes in third, I love the length. I love the freshness. I love the profile that this calf has. It's just when you get on top of him and truly study his width, that's what disappoints you. He's a little flatter in that upper part of his hip. I'd like to pull him apart there, but man, from the outside looking in, if you look at cattle from a profile view, you jump on that one pretty fast. I just got to see him a little bolder in his upper part of his hip, weight in those pin placements, kind of changes underlying balance. As you can see, his chest kind of gets a little lower than his flank. But man, that's a good-looking rascal, young man. You have done a well job getting that one presented. The blue roan one's interesting. I think one, if he settles down and that tail quits moving, you kind of like him. I like his muscle. I like his power. I like his bone and his foot size. He just kind of gets a little rounder off both ends of his skeleton. Like to soften him up in his midrib. And that's where the young man steer has the advantage. Good-bodied, big bone, just gets a little soft there in his loin edge, little plainer through that front end. Maybe just don't have that extra look and eye appeal that we need to see. Young lady, you have a nice calf, and I don't want you to get disappointed in all that work and time you got into him because, man, that's a good calf. We could put him in any other classes and have him at the top. He's got good shape to the center body. He's deep-sided. He's got some muscle. I guess for me, he gets himself beat is when we get him in motion, he gets outside of his skeleton, not as secure, not as mobile off both ends of his skeleton. Young man, same goes to you. You got a calf that's big bone, big footed, and got some shape and power to him. I guess for me, though, when we get him going, he gets pretty straight off both ends, real rigid in terms of the way that pastern hits the ground. Like to calm him down there and make him go just a notch better. But nice set of steers. Let's congratulate those exhibitors with a round of applause.
Congratulations to Jerry Jex Wilson with tag number 235 out of Mountain View, Wyoming. Finishes second in the class. And Bailey Kraft on tag number 252 from Powell, Wyoming, going to be the class champion. Before we move on to our next class, we do have a little bit of business to take care of. There is a blue Toyota Tacoma parked by the wash bay outside of the expo. Need to move that rig immediately, please. The plate. It is a don't tread on me plate, which I don't disagree with you there. EBC 430. EBC 430, the Montana plate, don't tread on me. The blue Toyota Tacoma, got to have you move that rig right away, please. We'll go to class number 3 now. Class number 3, tag number 201 out of Miles City, Montana. Nate Peterson, tag number 219, Kinley Bartold out of Benjamin, Utah. Tag number 202, Caleb Lindholm out of Sundance, Wyoming. Tag number 218, Kinley Bartold out of Benjamin, Utah. Tag number 213, Wiley Faleo out of Riverton, Wyoming. Bailey Williams taking tag number 239 from Salem, Utah. And then Ringling, Montana's Paisley Schwartz with tag number 241 into the show ring right here. Class number 4, you are on deck. Class number 4, Wyatt Strauch with 233, Kyle Taylor 228, Kason Womack 225, Brylan Olstad 216. Alana Scafani, tag number 227. Clay Harwood with 226. Heidi Hutchison with 214. And Taryn Miller with 223. You are class number 4, and you are on deck. And we are going to pay just a couple more bills right here. Rocky Mountain Compost. Our thanks to Rocky Mountain Compost for their continued support of the Nile. Again, this year they have supplied all of our livestock bedding. Rocky Mountain Compost can supply all your livestock bedding too, and they deliver over a 7-state region.
a duo of steers that offer some discussion and kind of just visiting about both of them. Excuse me. Steer we're going to start with is one standing there is just bolder. He's stouter. He's square right there behind his blade down in his forearm and heart. You get on the side of him. You like his body depth. Yeah, we could change. We could change his shoulder and his knee and down to his toe and make him a little more secure. He wants to toe out ever so slightly. But when we get him going, he still has that good long stride to him. That's just the bolder, square option of the duo for me. But if you get argue on his shoulder and knee, I wouldn't disagree. I would change that about him. He gets a little up right there. I'd like them to go just a notch better. This yellow steer's interesting to me because from the profile, you like him. You like his length of side. I like his hip and hind leg and way that assembles and coordinates together. He's one that's so good body and deep in terms of that rear flank. I guess when you get into him and really study him, he gets a little tight there in his forearm and heart. He's not as square there behind his blade as I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him bolder on the top part of his skeleton than what he is. But man, that's a good calf that handles his shoulder and knee just a little better than my class winner. The steer that comes in third, man, if we had a pasture full of these, we'd be happy. That's just a functional, practical kind of cattle that's good made. He's sound structured. Looks like he'll feed extremely well for the young man. He's one that's just really, really complete. And I think you can't really beat up on cattle that look like that. They're fresh, they're youthful, they're sound. Yes, does he give up some muscle as some other ones is out here? Yeah, he does. I'd like to see him a little square back, but that's just a functional kind of calf. Steer that comes next is the bigger footed, bigger boned option that has that show steer look to him. I guess for me, though, you step into him, he gets a little flatter there in his rib cage, just not as expressive on the top part. I'd like them to see a little wider pinned, and that's where the smoky steer has the advantage. When this calf came in, I said, wow, that is a big top, big-ended calf with some bone and foot. We just get that rascal in motion. You can see he gets real straight hawked for me. I liked him to get the ground just a more comfortable, have him a little more flex in knees. But, man, that's a stout-featured calf. Young man, don't get disappointed on that steer. I can tell you've worked hard. Compliments to you because he's got some muscle and shape. I just got to see him go a touch more athletic. Next steer is rugged and stout and powerful. Just gets a little plainer in his overall look when we compare him to the top ones. But, young lady, nice job. That one's going to go to the rail and be very, very nice. Yeah, the calf that rounds out the class has the body, has the depth of rib. Just one that gets a little swelling there in his rear hook. Like to see him a little square back when we get behind him. Nice set of steers. Let's compliment those exhibitors and put our hands together for them.
Congratulations to Kinley Bartold. That went about as good as you could hope, I believe, Kinley. Kinley finishing in reserve with Benjamin Utah's tag number 218, and also Kinley winning the class with tag number 219. That's going to bring us to class number 4. We'll welcome to the show ring the following: tag 233, Wyatt Stroud out of Van Tassel, Wyoming. Also Kyle Taylor with tag number 228 out of Hayden, Idaho. From Filer, Idaho, Case and Womack with tag 225. Then it's going to be Brylin Olstad from Billings, Montana with tag number 216. Alana Scafani, tag number 227 out of Whitehall, Montana. Geyser, Montana brings us Clay Harwood and tag number 226. Heidi Hutchison out of Belgrade, Montana with 214. And then from Douglas, Wyoming is Taryn Miller with tag number 223. This is class number 4. Class 5, you're going to be on deck. Class number 5 is going to be tag 212. That's Wiley Faleo. Tag number 210, Morgan Adams. 206, Hadley Cooper. 224, Ashton Norgard. 250, Taya Ann Clement. Number 232 will be Lauren Dewey. And then Leighton Murnack bringing us tag 230. Class 5, you are on deck. And a thank you to World West of Joliet, a custom bull collection service with the experience many have come to trust. Thank you to Scott and Andrea Spicard. Grand and Reserve champions, please remember to visit the livestock office in the expo to pick up your champion jackets and vests. Special thanks to Delio Western Wear for embroidering these awards. Visit the Delio booth in the Trading Post for all your NILE merchandise needs.
Nice set of steers here, and we're getting at that stage in terms of having that right maturity and that right set of power that they need and still maintaining a fresh look to them. The steer that starts to me is from the outside looking in. You can't really pick a hole. He's one that got the extra length of spine that I like. I like his length of hip that he has. He's bold in that center body, and you get behind him, he's got good power and squareness down that back and that width of pins. Maintains that look all the way through. I guess for me, if I'm going to pick on him, he gets a little tight there in his forb and hard. And when we get him going, he kind of wants to close up at the base of his skeleton. I'd like him to go just with a little more genuine width at the ground. But man, that's a good-looking rascal that still maintains the look with the power and everything we've been visiting about today. Steer that comes in second, is he better behind his shoulder right there in his forb and heart? He is. He's one that's maybe just a notch fuller there, a touch bolder there. But where he gets himself beat is from his midrib back. He gets a little shorter, a little rounder about that hip, and then when we get him in motion, maybe not as secure as when we hit that ground going. But man, he is neat from his midrib forward and how bold he is, how powerful he is, just like to change his hip and hind leg and away it goes. Interesting calf that comes in third. I think from the outside looking in, we like that calf a lot because at the ground he's big-footed, he's big bone, he's got that good square back and hip in him. I guess for me, we would probably really liked him about 30 days ago. If he was just a touch fuller in his midrib, that flank kind of stayed in him. And then when we get going, he gets a little straight off both ends of his skeleton. I like him to handle that shoulder and knee a little better than what he does. But man, young man, you got nice cattle. You've done a lot of hard work. That steer previous class and now him. Congratulations to you on all the work you did. Young lady steer that comes next, he's just not wanting to get his head up for you. He's one that's just stout, and he's rugged, and he's bold all the way through. But when we get in this competitive a class, we're going to look for those little minute details. He needs to be a little smoother shoulder, a little better there in his throat notch and down into his chest. But, man, he is stout. He is square, and he has the muscle and boldness advantage compared to the Brockle one that comes next. I like this calf. This is good feeding kind of steer. I think you have to appreciate cattle that have body. You got to appreciate cattle that have the depth, and his underlying balance is really, really correct from his chest to his midrib back to his flank. But when we start to compare him to those high-end steers that have that extra power, that's where he disappoints you. I wish he was a tad bolder, wish he was a tad heavier muscled when you get behind him. Good kind of cattle. You got to appreciate those. I like the muscle and power in this one. It's just when we get on the side of him, he gets a little flatter and shallower in that flank. Like to drop that down into him, make him a touch softer. Young lady, your yellow steer's really, really nice. And you've done an excellent job of getting him to handle right. The feet aspect is there. He just gets pretty straight off both ends of his skeleton. As you watch him go, that shoulder knocks forward, that knee wants to go forward. I got to see him go just a tad more comfortable off both ends of his skeleton. The Herfinger-appearing steer, and no offense, when you don't have hair like those big hairy ones, it kind of hurts you sometimes. This is good kind of cattle. I love the shape to his center body. I love the depth, and then when you get your hands on him, he's very soft to the touch. I think one, though, he's real rigid in his movement. Just needs to handle his hip and hind leg just a notch better. But nice set of steers. Very competitive there on the top end.
Finishing in the top two positions of the class, tag number 226, Clay Harwood out of Geyser, Montana, the class champion, Taryn Miller out of Douglas, Wyoming. That's going to bring us to the final class here. We'll welcome into the show ring from Riverton, Wyoming, at tag number 212, Wiley Faleo. Also from Riverton, Wyoming, tag number 210, Morgan Adams. Out of Powell, Wyoming, it's Hadley Cooper with tag number 206. And from Darlington, Wisconsin, Ashlyn Norgard with tag number 224. Out of Lehi, Utah, we're going to welcome Taya Ann Clement with tag 250. From Laurel, Montana, tag number 232, Lauren Dewey. And finally, out of Bowman, North Dakota, Leighton Minrack with tag number 230. And just so you're aware, I'm going to read you the payoff that we've got here this afternoon. It's a good one. For the grand champion, they're going to get $2,000 plus the buckle. The reserve champ will get $1,000 plus a jacket and compliments of Vanek Club calves. The third spot is going to take $500. So, Amanda, when the time comes, we do have to pick your top three, please.
Kind of an interesting class to sort through and kind of discuss with you guys. The calf that comes to the top does so pretty easy in my mind. In terms of structure and body and muscle and still maintaining a look, he has that. He's one that gets around the ring and goes pretty well. He's one that's big-footed and square-backed. He's one, though, he gets a little tight there in his form and heart, I'm the first to admit. Maybe not as fresh-headed as what we've seen in other classes, but man, that is a good-looking rascal that's got some power and running gear underneath him. He wins pretty easy. I think where the decision's got to be made is between second, third, and fourth. One and second don't hit you hard. I'll be honest. You don't have that big hair coat, but if you step in and truly study that calf, look at his muscle shape, look at his rib cage, you get behind him, what you see is what you get. I love the back power that he has. Starts right behind his blade all the way back to his hip. You get him going. He's sound-footed. He's bold all the way through. Should he have the big hair and be very, very competitive? He would. But, man, that's just a good, genuine calf, I think, that has the good shape. His running gear is a lot better than the one that comes in third. The presentation, the fit job, the show steer stuff that we all visit about all the time along the ringside, this one has it. This one is cool looking. This one is stout featured. This one is powerful. His hawk and pastern bothers me too much to move him any higher today. Young man, you probably had a really good jackpot and steer a couple months ago, but that hawk's just kind of not wanting to be what it needs to be to get any higher today. But that is a highly presented show steer that the young man had in third. Good feeding one that comes in fourth. Good bodied. He's deep-sided. Be honest with you, I'd like to freshen him up. Let's clean some of that waste up at the bottom of his chest. Let's freshen it up through his front end. I appreciate the good, the practical look and the easy feeding look that he has. We just need to freshen him up all the way through. Heavy muscled steer that comes next. You get behind him. I like his back. I like his hip placement. It's just when we get him going, maybe not as comfortable from hawk to pastern, gets outside of his skeleton. Young lady, you got a good steer. Standing there, I appreciate his body and his curve to his rib cage and his depth of flank that he has. Just gets a little upright there, and that upright in his blade over at that knee. I need to make him be just a tad sounder up through his front end. This steer needs more time. Young lady, you probably weighed in a little lighter than what you needed to, but got in a heavyweight class. That steer's front end and the way his head and neck come out of his shoulder, the way he gets out and reaches, his length of side, he has all the pieces to be a good-looking rascal as a show steer. He just got in a mature class. He needs more time on feed to fill out in that center body and drop that flank because he's got some pieces that you really like. Just got in a tough class today. Let's congratulate those exhibitors. Very challenging class there to sort through.
Finishing in the coveted top two spots of the class right there, Ashlyn Norgard out of Darlington, Wisconsin with tag number 224. And from Powell, Wyoming, Hadley Cooper finishing with 206. Finishing on top of the class. We're going to bring back all those in contention for selection of champion and reserve, as well as for a third place finish. Compliments of the good folks at Vanek Club Calves. In the show ring right now, we're looking at class number 6. Tag number 234 brought to us by Regan Nash. Tag number 236 from Jace Rich. Tag number 242, Cooper Anderson. Tag 244 from Jack Gillette. Tag number 247, Preston Kinsfather. And tag 249 from Imra O'Hara.
Nice class of steers, and we are getting heavy. And when we get this heavy, we start getting a little stellar in our overall look and our appearance. The calf that's going to start the class for me is a little more genuine all the way through. He's one, though, when you get on top of him and truly study him, I like the boldness behind his blade. I like the stoutness there in terms of his back shape. He's one, maybe is one that has a little more hip and a little more power as you step behind him. He is a little shorter bodied, a little rounder in that hip, and I've changed that about him. I just think he's a tad fresh at the base of his chest, a little better there behind his forearm and heart. This year he probably was a jackpot and full, and young lady, you probably won a lot of showmanships with this steer. You can get this one absolutely stuck. His presentation, his lines, his look from the outside looking in, he puts it all together. If we were at this show about 30 days ago, we'd probably rediscuss this class. You can tell he's just getting a little bolder shoulder, a little tight there in his forearm and heart, and that front end just wants to toe out a little bit ever so slightly. I'd like to just change the way his front end's assembled, kind of put those knees and toes back underneath him, feel him out just a little bit behind that blade. But man, young lady, you got a show steer written all over him. He just gets a little stellar for me when you really step in and study him. I do like the power that he has. Kevin comes in third, good body. He's deep-sided, got the dimension in that center body and the depth of plate. Just looking at the ground, look at his hop and pasture. We got to change that, make him go just a notch better than what he does. Long spine one that comes in the fourth pull. We just got to change the way that loin edge sits in him. That tail head wants to get up high, not as comfortable in terms of his running gear. Good looking rascal here in the fifth hole. I love the way his head and neck come out of the top part of his blade. I love the length of side. I love his structure. You just get into him, he gets a little flatter, a little base there, and you can pull him apart all the way through. Just good kind of cattle, young man. Do not get discouraged about today. You got a good calf that's good body, he's deep sided, he's sound structure. He just needs more power in this particular class to get any higher today. But young man, nice job getting a good haircut on him. We just need to see a little more shape and dimension all the way through. Nice set of steers. Let's congratulate them.
Congratulations to the top two in the class right there. Tag 234 finishes number 2. That is Reagan Nash. And then at the top of the class, tag number 236, Chase Ridge. Class number 7 coming up right now. Final class right here. Tag 204. Brought to us by Roger Shirts. Tag number 205 from Hadley Cooper. Tag 211 from Stockton Wright. Tag number 220 from Tessa Delmore. Tag number 238 from Berkeley Williams. Wyatt Harrison brings us tag 243. And Cale Roberts brings us tag number 248.
My neck hurts. Well, we had to get that because if we wouldn't have, the camera would have been here and like, yeah.
And while we have a minute, I have been very, very delinquent in mentioning a very favorable young lady in the arena. That is none other than the beautiful Quincy Schnoor that is handing out our ribbons for us this afternoon, and the daughter of our esteemed judge, Amanda. Quincy, nice work, young lady, doing an absolutely beautiful job.
playing the music or not.
Calf that comes to the top of the class pretty easy is this one. Really good in terms of that front 1/3 and how clean he is through that throat latch and the base of his chest. So bold in his center body and powerful as you get behind him. He gets a little rounder in that hip and kind of upright in that pastern set when he gets going. But, man, when he settles in and you get to look at him, man, he is so cool up through that front 1/3. I just love the way he's assembled up there. Would like to change his hip and hind leg just a little bit to really, really ideally tie to him. The calf that comes in second, he's one standing there, is good-bodied and deep-sided. It's just when we get him in motion, real rigid there in his movement, not as comfortable. But he's got more shape, more power, and squareness than the one that comes in third. One in third from the outside looking in, he gives you the profile. He's the one that has that good long front end, that long side, that big feet and big bone. It's just he's a little flatter rib, closes up at the base of his skeleton. And when we get to this heavy range, I need to see a little more width, a little more power. But, man, young lady, you do an awesome job presenting him. You get him stuck. You can tell you've done your homework at home. Same goes for you, young lady. You're an excellent showman. It's going to be fun when we get to these showmanship classes. Good feeding steer that's good-bodied and deep-sided, just a little smaller bone, a little smaller footed. Maybe don't give that good look from through that front 1/3. Just a good count of yellow calf. Just needs to be a little fresher at the base of his chest. Stout, powerful one that comes next. I like his body. I like his muscle. Just when we get him in motion, gets a little straight off both ends of his skeleton. Young man, you've worked hard on that calf, and compliments to you getting all that hair and giving him that look. To be honest, we just got to change his build. He gets a little off there in his spine, and then we get him going. He's not as comfortable in terms of his mobility. Like to change the way that hawk and pastern work together. Young man, stout, powerful steer, and I think your steer's reached his end point. I like his muscle. I like his shape. He's just too straight off that front end. You can see how he goes out. He wants to knock forward pretty good in that knee. We just got to change that knee and get him any higher today. But nice set of steers. Let's congratulate all those steer exhibitors.
Finishing in the top two positions of the class right there. Tag number 205 brought to us by Hadley Cooper. And Cale Roberts brings our class champion. Tag number 248. That will bring us now to the selection of our grand and reserve champions. We're going to welcome back into the show ring all those in contention for selection. From class number 1, we welcome back tag 217, Timber Billman out of Rigby, Idaho, as well as Haley Dennison with tag 251 from Shepherd, Montana. From class number 2, we'll welcome Bailey Kraft with tag 252 out of Powell, Wyoming, as well as Jerry Jex Wilson out of Mountain View, Wyoming, with tag number 235. Also, Kinley Bartold with tag number 219 out of Benjamin, Utah. This is from class number 3. Also from class number 3, Kinley Bartold with tag 218, of course, out of Benjamin, Utah. From class number 4, we'll welcome tag number 226, Clay Harwood out of Geyser, Montana. And from class number 4 in the champion position, tag 223, Taryn Miller out of Douglas, Wyoming. From class number 5, we welcome Ashlyn Norgard with tag 224 from Darlington, Wisconsin. Also, Hadley Cooper with tag number 206 out of Powell, Wyoming. From class number 6, we welcome Jace Rich with tag 236 and Reagan Nash with tag 234. And we welcome from class number 7, the top 2 there, Hadley Cooper with tag 205 and tag number 248. Brought to us by Cale Roberts. We're going to pick the top 3 here. The grand champion, as I said before, is going to get $2,000 plus a buckle and a cooler presented by the good folks at HB Feeds. Reserve champion is going to get $1,000 plus a jacket and a cooler from HB Feeds. And, of course, a shout-out to Vanek Club Cabs for providing us with $500 for the third-place finisher here in our Junior Fed Market Steer Show.
Let's put our hands together for an excellent, excellent steer show that we've had here this afternoon. There's some differences, and I'll be the first to admit, and I know it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of effort to put into these show steers, and compliments to you guys, because I know it just doesn't take an individual. It takes a village. It takes a team behind the scenes. So, well, young people, I'm going to challenge you one thing, is when you leave here today, you thank that team, you thank the village that helped you get here, because it takes a lot of time and effort to get a class winner, no matter where you're at in the country. So I challenge you guys, when you walk out of the ring, you're probably going to be mad. There's only one happy person, but thank the people behind there, because you guys have done an excellent job, and you darn sure have the quality. I think in this particular lineup, I usually don't really talk each one of them when we come to the grand drive, but I think this lineup does need that, because there is so many differences and gives and takes in this particular lineup. You could pick any three you want and be happy. And I apologize, I got a little tickle in my throat today, and I don't know why, but it's bothering me a little bit. But with that, let's talk about these cattle and kind of show you what I see. The one that came out of the first class, and when we talk about market steers, is he a little immature? He is. He's just a tad immature, but man, that is a good-bodied, stout-featured calf that's got the structural integrity. I think in this particular drive, he needs a little more time to just kind of fill out and bolt out. That's a good calf. I think here in about 50 days, we'd really, really think he'd be in contention out here. Good-looking rascal that comes out of the second class, big-footed, big bone. Like to change him there in his shoulder and knee, kind of wants to knock forward. I'd like to lean that back in him. But, man, appreciate the body, appreciate the foot size that he has underneath. Highly presented one that comes out of the third class. I think standing there, you go to him. He's big-bodied, he's deep-sided, he's square-backed. And I said this in that particular class. He gets a little straight there in his shoulder and knee, not as comfortable there when we get him out and go. I think he just needs a little flex and a little more time there to really, really be competitive. But, man, standing there, you go to that one pretty fast. Probably the most different one out here is the one that comes out of the fourth class. I think when we talk about show steers and we talk about getting a halter on him, he has all those things. He is the freshest. He is the most youthful steer out here in terms of that head, that throat latch, and down to the base of his chest. He's got the extra length aside, and you get on top of him. He's got the good back shape. He's got the good width of pins. He's got all those things. And I said that in class, he wants to close up at the base of his skeleton. I would like to see him just a tad more genuine down low to really, really say, whoa, that is a show steer. But, man, being fresh and being youthful, I think that is important in these market steers. We're feeding them. This is my personal opinion, and you guys can get mad at me, but I think sometimes in the show steer world, we feed them way too long. I think it's taken too long to get them to mature. So when they're still fresh and youthful, I go to those pretty fast. The calf that comes next, this one is the one that's kind of got some red flags in my hair, but I kind of go to him still at the same time. I love his body. I love his depth. I love the way his hip and hind leg coordinate together. His length of hip is flexed to his hock, the flex to his ankle. Everything is there in terms of his mid-rib back. His mid-rib forward is where I kind of get concerned. He gets a little tight there in his forward heart, right behind his blade. He kind of gets a little stale there in his head, got a little more chest. He just looks a little older out here compared to some other ones. That's a personal thing of me. I just visit about being fresh. But, man, his hip and hind leg, that's almost ideal. The shape to his center body, that calf has a lot of power to him. Calf that comes next is one from his mid-rib back. I like him. I like his boldness in his center body. I like the depth to his flank. I like the power as you step behind him. His mid-rib forward gets a little plainer in his head. Maybe don't have that stretchy, long, show steer neck to him, and some people might not like that, but that's one thing I like to tuck that chest in him. But, man, he is good behind his blade. He's good in his forward and heart. He's good in his depth of body. Just wish I could stretch his hip out. The steer that I wish I could just say, hey, act a little better, be a little nicer to the young man, and young man, you are nervous. Take a deep breath. That calf can read it. because when that calf settles in and you get to look at him, you go to him. His front end and the way that's assembled, watch the way that head and neck come out of his blade. Look at the way his shoulder and knee lay in him. He's good there in his form and heart and the depth to his body. Where we get critical of this one, he's a little shorter and rounder in his hip, and you can see that as he goes. Maybe not as comfortable from hock to pasture when we go. I'd like to lengthen his hip out, make him just a tad leveler. But young man, take a deep breath. He is showing himself off right now, and that's what you need. Love his body, love his depth. So nice set of class winners. There's some good seconds out there. Young people, it is always a privilege when I get to ask to judge shows. I got to bring my 4-year-old daughter with me and share this experience, so this is awesome. This will be a fun few days. Let's put our hands together for these young people that have steers. We'll get you a top 3.
Congratulations, finishing third and picking up $500 compliments of Vannet Club calves, Hadley Cooper. Tag number 205. Finishing in the reserve position and picking up $1,000 plus a jacket and a cooler compliments of HB Feeds. Congratulations go to Taryn Miller with tag number 223 out of Douglas, Wyoming. And your grand champion, Cale Roberts with tag number 248. That's going to be a day for $2,000, a gorgeous buckle, and, of course, a cooler. Once again, from the good folks at HB Feeds. Thank you, and congratulations to all of our winners this afternoon. We are going to go right into our senior showmanship class. We are going to stop, take some pictures first, and then it's going to be senior showmanship. Exciting news from the outside. I believe our winner is inside. Congratulations for winning the Cattleman's Cut, Jonna McCullough. Jonna, are you in the house? She's somewheres near. Come on up. Get your plunder. Congratulations, Jonna. I believe that is $3,700. That is American currency, plus a pretty dang nice prize like. Congratulations, Jonna. Well done. Again, we are going to take a few pictures right here, and then we'll come back with our senior showmanship. Looks like we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, I believe 9 in the senior showmanship class number 1. Morgan Adams of Riverton, Wyoming. Wyatt Cook of Kimball, Nebraska. Tessa Delmore of Wellington, Colorado. Davy Frost of Cowley, Wyoming. Ross Harwood, Geyser, Montana. Ashlyn Norgard of Darlington, Wisconsin. Nate Peterson of Miles City, Montana. Jace Rich out of Newcastle, Wyoming. And Justine Wilkinson of Henry, Nebraska. You are going to be our first class in showmanship. Senior showmanship, ages 15 to 18. Cock your hammer just a couple moments away. gonna go now, huh?
Yes. I gotta head
Well, I
over to
envy
the
you.
arena for a little rodeo. Here we go.
Good luck.
Thank you. Okay.
Looks like we've got everybody back into position. I believe we can go into our showmanship division here. We're going to start with senior showmanship. Looks like there's 3 classes. Class number 1, Morgan Adams out of Riverton, Wyoming. Wyatt Cook from Kimball, Nebraska. Tessa Delmore out of Wellington, Colorado. Davey Frost out of Cowley, Wyoming. Ross Harwood of Geyser, Montana. Ashton Norgod of Darlington, Wisconsin. Nate Peterson of Miles City, Montana. Jace Rich of Newcastle, Wyoming. And Justine Wilkinson of Henry, Nebraska. Welcome to the show ring. You are up for the senior showmanship subclass number 1.
we start the senior showmanship. And I'll be honest with you, when we get to this age, we make it go just a tad quicker. And I just saw all these kids in the market show, so I talked to each one of them. You know, I tell myself when we judge showmanship, first glance is everything, young people, because you think about it, a judge only has a few seconds, maybe 30 seconds to evaluate that calf. So if you're quick to the punch and try to walk that calf into place and get his head up, that's what makes it, for me, that's what I really look for in showmanship. So congratulations to all of you guys. You're all very, very good showmen. I'm just looking at those little minute details here in senior showmanship to get you pulled. But let's put our hands together for this nice senior group.
As we clear the show ring, we are going to welcome in our second class of showmen and showwomen. Cooper Anderson out of Ogden, Utah. Hadley Cooper from Powell, Wyoming. Haley Dennison, Shepherd, Montana. Wyatt Harrison of Basin, Wyoming. Weston Meneses out of Melrose, Montana. Bryden Olstad from Billings, Montana. Wiley Vallejo of Riverton, Wyoming. And Kyle Taylor of Hayden, Idaho. Subclass number 3, you're going to be on deck. You are Timber Billman, Reichley Day, Zane Downey, Clay Harwood, Taryn Miller, Quentin Perkins, Stephanie Pruitt, and Tanner Vanek.
This is a pretty competitive round. It's probably the most competitive we've had so far this afternoon. All these young people do a tremendous job. I'll be honest, showmanship is always a difficult thing for me to sort through because I know you guys work so hard to get here and the time and the effort and the homework that you got to put into these cattle at home. So I know sometimes it gets discouraging, but those little things are what going to get you pulled here in the senior showmanship. All of you do a tremendous job. These young people, if you watch them, they got that. They have that timing down in terms of the way they walk them cattle into place, their eye contact, that competitive edge. Them cattle work extremely well for them, and that's why they got pulled today. But let's pull that senior showmanship a round of applause.
We're going to bring in our final class in our final subclass, in senior showmanship. It consists of 8 records. It is Rigby, Idaho's Timber Billman, Reichley Day of Evanston, Wyoming, Zane Downey of Whitehall, Montana, Clay Harwood of Geyser, Montana, Taryn Miller of Douglas, Wyoming, Quentin Perkins of Deer Lodge, Montana, Stephanie Pruitt of Park City, Montana, and Tanner Vanek of Lewistown, Montana.
final round of senior showmanship, and we pulled three. And I pulled three in terms of the way they moved around that head and how they had that calf set up. But they have that extra competitive edge to them. They have that sharpness to them in terms of when they walk in the ring, I want to win this thing. And it ties into having those steers set up almost ideally every time. But nice set of senior showmen. Let's put our hands together for them.
Thank you. And with that, we're going to bring in the top three from the previous classes, top three from one class, and I guess four from the other, I believe, to make our final selection for senior showmanship. Junior showman, you are on deck right now. That's going to be Kinley Bartold of Benjamin, Utah. Jack Gillette of Roy, Montana. Bailey Kraft of Powell, Wyoming. Pocatello, Idaho's Reagan Nash. Alana Scafani out of Whitehall, Montana. Paisley Schwartz from Ringling, Montana. Stockton White of Bancroft, Idaho. And Jerry Jex Wilson of Mountain View, Wyoming. You are on deck. We look forward to seeing you right after Amanda makes her selection for our showmanship champion.
Let's give these senior showmen a round of applause. Excellent job out here. As we sit and make them sweat for a little bit, I want to tell you, young people, there is nothing more exciting than walking your steer in the ring and just having that competitive edge, having that ambition that I'm going to win this banner. But at the same time, we all like to win. We all like that purple banner. I am so competitive. Sometimes it's my downfall. But I want you guys to remember the people that are surrounded by you are your friends. Don't get too frustrated throughout this week. Don't get discouraged when things don't go your way, because the people that you have around you are your friends. They're your encouragers, but they have the same love and the same passion that you do, and that passion is agriculture. And I'm probably going to say that a lot throughout these next few days, and I think that we got to keep that in the back of our mind, that there is nothing better than walking your young people into a show ring, having the opportunity to represent cattle in the beef industry, but just being part of this. And so compliments to you parents, but more importantly, let's give these young senior showmen a round of applause for doing this. Showmanship is difficult, and I think one thing that I told myself when I sort through showmanship, it's not how well you have yourself looking. If you got black paint all over, your knees are dirty, your boots aren't spit shine, that's okay with me. It's how well do you get that steer or that heifer presented? How well in that 10-second period that your judge gets to look at you, is that calf almost ideally set up? And I think that is the most important thing. Always keep in the mind that judge has 10 to 15 seconds to really get that first impression, and first impression is everything. And if you guys just watch these young people and this senior showman, this is competitive. This is tough. We could sit out here all day long and go all back and forth and decide who should win this, because I think it is so close. To me, it comes down to personal preference. That one that has that calf set up almost perfect knows where those feet and legs need to be, where that steer looks good. Eye contact is there. Body, in terms of the way they move around that head. I think this person is an excellent showman. I think the one that's going to come in reserve is very similar. There's a lot of you guys that could have this champion or reserve hole, and I do not want you to get discouraged, because if someone else is judging showmanship, it could be a different day. So with that said, let's put our hands together, and we'll get you a champion reserve senior showman.
Congratulations to the top two in the class right there. Finishing in reserve in your senior showmanship class, Hadley Cooper of Powell, Wyoming, and your senior showman champion, Jace Rich of Newcastle, Wyoming. We are going to move right along to junior showmanship, and welcome to the show ring. The following 8 entries in junior showmanship. We're going to bring in Kinley Bartold of Benjamin, Utah, as well as Jack Gillette of Roy, Montana. Bailey Kraft of Powell, Wyoming. Reagan Nash of Pocatello, Idaho. Alana Scafani of Whitehall, Montana. Ringling, Montana's Paisley Schwartz. Stockton White of Bancroft, Idaho, and then Jerry Jex Wilson of Mountain View, Wyoming. Welcome and good luck to you, Ann Clement. You are on deck. You're going to be our final class in junior showmanship. There are 3 classes in junior showmanship. My apologies. Class number 2, you are on deck. Again, that is Taya Clement, as well as Heidi Hutchison, Caleb Lindholm, Emery O'Hara, Ruger Schertz, Reagan Torbett, and Baylor Williams. You are on deck. Subclass number 2 in junior showmanship.
First group of junior showmen, and just a couple things. It's ring awareness, where you're at in the ring, feet placement. I get a little repetitive when I talk about showmen, is making sure those legs are where they need to be. Remember, like I said in senior, you get that 10 to 20 seconds for that judge to look at your calf, to evaluate your calf. So to be a good showman, we want to make sure that thing looks ideal at all times so that judge gets a good look. But you guys do a tremendous job. I think you got the first thing down. You're calm, You're smooth. You got your steers sitting there. Now let's take it to the next step and get those feet where they need to be. But nice set of junior showmen. We'll keep you three to come back. We'll get through going through the other two classes. Let's congratulate these exhibitors.
Let me rattle off class 2 once again, would you mind?
Class 2.
Welcome in class number 2 right here. Once again, that's Taya Ann Clement, Heidi Hutchison, Caleb Lindholm, Emery O'Hara, Roger Shorts, Regan Torbett, and Baylor Williams. Class 3, you are on deck.
We're going to do something a little different in this particular heat. This heat's not as big. And if you just watched all of these young people walk in this particular class, they stopped and did everything what we've been visiting about so far. So we're going to pull all 5 of you back so you guys dismiss, and then you're going to come back here in the overall.
Class number 3 coming into the show ring right now, our final subclass out of junior showmanship. We'll welcome in Lauren Dewey, Preston Kinsfather, Leighton Murnack, Cale Roberts, Graham Stinson, that is Graham Stinson, I'm sorry, Kate Vanek, and Berkeley Williams.
We come to the last group of junior showmen, and just those little things, feet placement, where them back legs end up, if they're using the ring correctly, if someone pulls out, make sure you pull forward. It's those little things that are going to get you pulled in showmanship. Just make sure we get so caught up in saying eye contact, watch the judge, watch the judge. Sometimes we do that so much and we forget to look down and look at that feet placement. So those are just a few things to work on. I suggest you hand your steer to your mom or your dad or whoever's helping you. Come back, watch this final group, and I guarantee you, if you watch and you get it, you're going to be just in that final group here in the next show or two. So let's congratulate this last group of junior showmen. We'll keep these three here in the ring.
Congratulations to all of our junior showmen. We're going to bring back our short round, if you will, right here to make the selection of our junior and reserve, or excuse me, of our reserve and grand champion in junior showmanship. We'll welcome Kinley Barntold, as well as Bailey Kraft, Reagan Nash, Taya Ann Clement, Heidi Hutchison, Caleb Lindholm, Ruger Schertz, Baylor Williams, Lauren Dewey, Leighton Murnack, and Cale Roberts. Welcome back and good luck in the final selection of our grand and reserve champion.
give these junior showmen a big round of applause. Excellent, excellent job. There's a lot of young people out here in a smaller ring, and if you just watched how they coordinate that together and kind of work together, hats off to them. I know it gets a little struggle if you don't know where you're supposed to go, but you guys did an excellent job. One thing I'm going to compliment every single one of you, you guys have done your homework at home. These cattle are working with you. They're making good teammates. There's nothing jumping around. So when it gets to be that close in terms of cattle being calm and smooth, it's those minute things that I look for. Feet placement, eye contact. That head is up. That neck is where it needs to be at all times. It's those little things. Their top lines are together. You guys do an excellent job, and I never want you to walk out of the show ring and be discouraged. Just when you walk out, say, hey, I'm going to get them next time. Hi, I'm going to work just a tad harder because I think every single one of you could win this particular showmanship. But today, there's just a couple in my mind that stick out, having that smooth look to them, that competitive edge. That calf is just wanting to pass that ball and be a great teammate. So with that said, let's put our hands together, and we'll get you a top 2 junior showman out here today.
Congratulations to Leighton Mernack. Finishing in reserve, and Reagan Nash is your junior champion showman. Well, showmen and showwomen, that is the conclusion of our Saturday, the first Saturday of the NILE. We are going to be coming back tomorrow morning. A Sunday morning is going to bring us some... we're going to start it out with the AOB show right here at the Ford F-150 Arena. That's going to start at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Then we'll be back at 2 o'clock with the Super Regional Shorthorn Show, the junior, followed by the open in both of those classes. So on behalf of the entire crew here at the NILE, my name is Doug Van Dyken. Thanks for coming out to spend a Saturday with us. Enjoy a little bit of the nightlife in the Magic City of Billings, Montana. We'll see you right back here on a Sunday morning.